Miss Johnson.
I wish to thank you, Headmaster, for allowing us the pleasure of meeting such well-mannered boys.
The headmaster has charged us with running Wellington House.
Congratulations, Chips. Congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
You will also observe how Latin informs you in your other disciplines. For example, who has not yet heard of the geometry theorem we call Pons Asinorum, the bridge of donkeys? We call it this because it is the bridge of learning at which so many donkeys falter.
On the left, please, Charles. Do you both like tea?
Please, Mum.
Oh, my dear, let me in.
I'm all right. Yeah, I had no idea you had so many books.
Oh, you gave me that one.
We could call him Albert.
Yes, or Victoria.
Or Edward.
Or Helena.
Alice.
I rather like Leopold.
We shall be fine.
I'll come and tell you the good news.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Doctor? Victoria or Albert?
My dear fellow,
Boy or a girl?
there were complications.
Well, I think not. My wife is very straightforward.
No,
No.
I'm sorry. Mrs. Chipping did not survive. We tried to save both. We saved neither.
No, my wife is a very heavy sleeper. We joke about it.
No, my dear fellow, not just yet.
And the child?
It would have been Albert.
When he looks up, show the April Fool's sign. Quick, hide it.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Today, gentlemen, we will return to the familiar territory of the Gallic Wars of Caesar.
Please, sir.
We shall, as ever, translate.
Please, sir. You've received rather a lot of letters, sir.
Book 2 from the beginning. Who shall volunteer?
When Caesar was in yonder Gaul,
Hither Gaul.
in hither Gaul, in winter quarters. Sorry I'm late, sir. As we have shown above, frequent rumours were brought to him. And he was also informed by letters from Labienus that all the Belgae who have said are a third part.
Mr. Ralston, welcome, welcome. We were not expecting you until later in the week.
And you are?
I am Chipping. I have the honour.
Latin.
Indeed, Headmaster.
Long serving, I believe. Therefore, an excellent guide for my tour of the school.
Don't look so depressed, it's only a pose. What they're saying here, when man is then
This must be Herr Stiefel?
So the
Stiefel, Max Stiefel.
How long has he been here?
A wonderful teacher and colleague, Headmaster. Came here straight from Oxford, never taught me Weathers.
And when the men
Chipping, am I right in assuming that Brookfield does not field an officer training corps?
Heaven forfend, Headmaster. We're trying to keep violence out of the school, not bring it in.
I would remind our esteemed Latin master that German is a living language.
Which, of course, to many of us remains its chief problem.
Oh, is our esteemed chairman in this debate now aligning himself too closely with the traditions he teaches? After all, the Romans believed in dictatorship and in the opposing of belief and opinion under the guise of impartiality.
Gentlemen, I shall be brief. I feel as though I've spent the last few days touching the very fabric of Brookfield. And I regret to have to tell you I find the fabric somewhat frayed. We shall have some economies, stringent economies. Perhaps merge a house or two. In any case, we must all understand that Brookfield is a school, not a charity. As of next term, our fees will rise substantially. At the same time, we need to go out and persuade people of, dare I say it, newly substantial means that their boys will profit from attending Brookfield. And with this in mind, the curriculum will be modernized to meet the needs of such, shall we say, practical parents. Therefore, gentlemen, change all round. Well, that's all I have to say for the moment.
Headmaster, Brookfield has an honourable tradition of bursaries for boys of humbler means.
Indeed it does. Thank you, gentlemen. My initial report to the governors will be circulated. In the meantime, my door is always open.
Weatherby visited the staff room so often.
almost every day.
Mr. Ralston has been once in 2 months. What on earth?
Divert previous forms of expenditure into buildings for the new disciplines. Science, sport, the future.
Yes, well, that's all very well, Mr. Ralston, but will allow us to be able to take up the business when I've passed on.
Former, fix bayonets. The target will not be sitting or standing waiting. It will run at you or away from you. Troop, bayonets at the ready. By the right, quick, march! On stride,
Heavens! Halt! Wyckoff! Discipline this idiot!
Sorry, sir. Errand's fallen.
That was beyond impertinence.
Yes, sir.
Slowly, boys, slowly.
One moment, please.
Headmaster, I wish, if possible, to have a word.
Actually, Herr Stapel, I was wishing a word with you. Do come in, Sir John. Yes.
He said he had Brookfield's best interests at heart. Must look around to see what's happening in the wider world. Climate of opinion. Chips. He more or less asked me to resign.
And did you?
Of course. I'm alarmed, I'm dismayed, but I'm not surprised.
What do you mean?
Chips, you must have divined that I and the subject I teach have fallen from grace in England.
Oh, Max, you mustn't think like that. And Brookfield must not be like that. For heaven's sake, the king himself is of German descent.
There's going to be a war. None of us can help such things.
Morning, Chippy.
Max Stapel must not be allowed to leave Brookfield.
Is this your concern?
This is monstrous. You dismiss a fine teacher on the grounds of prejudice.
Herr Stapel has offered his resignation.
Under the most appalling moral pressure.
He'd be the first to admit that his position is difficult. Boys will be boys. Nonetheless, an English public school has a clear duty to foster patriotism. Or would you not agree?
Headmaster, this school is above and beyond...
Herr Stapel at least has the sense to realize that if there's a war with Germany, his position will be intolerable. Anything else?
For those of us, like Max Stapel and myself, who have devoted our lives to Brookfield, your record thus far is disgraceful.
Disgraceful? Do enlighten me, Chipping.
I have asked you more than once to inform me as to how many scholarship students we may expect this year. I have received no answer. I suspect you mean to cancel the Brookfield bursaries.
Suspect? I can tell you that myself. I'm obliged by the governors to make economies.
Headmaster, at Brookfield, boys of lesser means are given a wonderful chance. Why are you destroying this? This is monstrous!
How old are you, Chipping?
I have no wish, nor any need to retire.
I may not see it that way.
I beg your pardon. It seems to me, Headmaster, that you do not possess the capacity to understand or respect the qualities inherent in a school such as Brookfield.
You're trying to provoke me, Chipping. I'm charged with modernizing Brookfield. We simply cannot, I simply will not adhere to styles of education that belong to the last century.
That may arise because you do not understand them. I find them most effective.
There'll be no place for them in the new Brookfield.
Sir! Must all your movement be towards the lowering of standards? This is intolerable. I disagree with you profoundly, and I do not see that I can continue to serve under you.
In that alone, Chipping, we are of one mind.
Yes, boys, I'm as upset as you are. But, boys, we've got to think of a plan. We must have a plan, though, boys. Do we want chips? Yes, we want chips.
rally? Yes, we rally! Yes, we rally! Yes, we rally! Yes, we rally! Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready! Yes, we're ready! Yes, we're ready! Yes, we're ready!
Do we fight? Yes, we fight! Yes, we fight! Yes, we
Gentlemen, please! Is there not enough talk of fighting in the world?
Sir, we're having a convocation to prevent your departure.
That's right, sir.
Oh, really, Atkins? All of you. That is most kind. But I fear you mustn't.
But sir...
No, the headmaster has spoken. He is charged with running and improving the school. His authority cannot be questioned. We must have hierarchies in life. We must have points of reference. I thank you, but you must dismiss, sir. Ron.
Here it is now.
Yes?
Shall I accompany you to the station?
No, thank you.
Within 5 minutes! Yes, sir!
Does your cousin have any need of a slightly experienced Latin master?
My dearest Chipley, I greatly appreciate the sacrifice you have made, in part because of me. But you must retract your position. I beg of you, reconsider. Please, do it for me.
Too late, I fear.
Sir John, Arthur?
Max, you're a marvelous friend. Please, take good care of yourself.
He has become a focus of discontent. The boys are openly rebellious.
I've known him eccentric, but I've never known him dramatic. Suppose we were to allow a limited number of bursaries. Would that sway him?
You mean I should back down?
No, my dear fellow.
Would the governors wish me to surrender to his insubordination?
No, of course not. The governors do understand. I just worry. You see, Chips has taught generation after generation of some families. I showed him round here on his very first day.
Sir John, the school, and I do mean the boys and the masters, are all aware of this confrontation. We're chipping to be reinstated. My authority, gone. No leader governs by ultimatum, as I'm sure you know. But in this case, I fear, it has come to a choice. Morning, school. Good morning, school. In the few weeks since I've been headmaster, we've achieved a great deal. But there's more to be done. Some of you may recognize our guest this morning. Pleasant surprise, the chairman of our governors, Sir John Rivers. But I'm sure that he will have a few words to say to us about the necessary changes which Brookfield must now embrace. Sir John.
Good morning, gentlemen. My time at Brookfield shaped my life, and I'm pleased and proud to be here today to acknowledge that. The headmaster has spoken of change, and we must all embrace change, however unpleasant. But we at Brookfield must also be aware of that sense of continuity, that sense of tradition that has made us what we are, Brookfieldians. As you are aware, one of the pillars of the school has been your and my Latin teacher, Mr. Chipping. You are also aware that we have been in danger of losing him. I now invite him to change his decision and to confirm that he will stay with us by leading us all in the school prayer.
You've placed me in an impossible position.
You've done that for yourself.
Come on, sir! Yes, sir! Chips! 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 Chips!
O Lord, shine your light on Brookfield School, on her teachers, and on her students. Grant us the enlightenment of eternal knowledge, that we may proceed along a path of learning that has been illuminated with your grace. Amen.
Amen.
Isn't it? Yes, yes, I always recognize a collie.
Hi, sir.
Oh, my dear fellow.
The mud is grey. Not brown like ours. It makes sucking noises. Sucks men down. You're not supposed to drown in mud. You're supposed to drown in water. Lost a boot, sir. Stepped on something. There's a body, sir.
School, we've informed the War Ministry in London that we have indeed ploughed our playing fields. We now await their directions as to which crops we shall be required to grow. Gentlemen, Evans, Mr. John.
Hello, sir.
Oh, it's young Sexton, isn't it? Yes, it is. A bit more down to earth than I remember.
Yes, I avoid roofs, sir. So good to see you.
Well, shall we all sit down? Mr. Chipping, we want to thank you. Since Mr. Ralston decided to rejoin his regiment, you've accepted additional responsibilities at a difficult time, and we appreciate all of your efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
We know that retirement could and should be your reward. But my fellow governors and I would like formally to offer you the position of headmaster of Brookfield. It's an appointment that's long overdue.
I shall be honored.
Good morning, Headmaster.
Yes, it is, Rutherford. It is.
Sir.
Pet centipede, Calendar?
Please, sir?
All these pigs.
Sir, I fag for Beckles.
Oh, please. Don't tell me, Calendar.
And do you know why? The quartermaster had a wooden leg.
Sir? Headmaster?
Beckles, make me some toast. Lancaster, see if you can't put a shine on these pigs.
Sir, we don't fag. We're not...
Precisely. Nobody fags for me, and I'm more senior than you. Pass it on.
You want to see me, Headmaster?
Yes, come in, Morgan. This wretched war has taken such a heavy toll on everyone. There isn't an easy way to say this, Morgan. I've received news that your father has been killed in action. I'm so sorry. I feel certain that he made a fine soldier. He was a fine student, brilliant linguist. He spoke perfect German. He had a good teacher.
I hate Germans. I hate them all.
I'm so sorry, Morgan. It is a matter of pride, but also sad. I fear I must announce the death of more Brookfeldians, who died fighting for king and country.
Captain Robert Mitchell Rivers, a previous head boy of this school, and the eldest son of Sir John Rivers, our chairman of governors. Subaltern Anthony Andrew Grenville of the Suffolk Regiment, killed in action at the Somme. Edward Charles Peter Hawthorne, captain in the 1st Somerset Light Infantry. Commendation for bravery, mortally wounded at the Somme. Lieutenant Michael Jeremy Atkins, missing in action with the Grenadier Guards and presumed dead. Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Charles Alderdice, 119th Battery of the Royal Field Artillery. Special commendation for bravery, killed in action. Captain James Asquith Highcroft, Oxford and Buckingham Light Infantry, missing in action, presumed dead. Lieutenant Colonel George Arthur Wallingford, Lancashire Fusiliers, missing in action. Captain Robert William Willis, Royal Engineers, missing in action. Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Reinhardt, Royal Horse Artillery, killed in action.
Edward,
Second Lieutenant Graham
Edgerton,
Sidney Evans,
Elliot, Eversley, Ferguson.
And finally, I regret that I have to announce the sad death of a beloved colleague and a fine teacher. Those of us who knew him will be sorry to hear that Maximilian Friedmann Steffel was killed 2 weeks ago. This school owes him much. Such capacities as a teacher and human being must not be clouded by issues of nationality, even in such crucial times. Individuals are not nations. Let us remember Max Steffel Let us remember them all in our thoughts. Gentlemen, today we will call upon the services of Mr. Gibbon and his Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire to show us that history repeats itself. Will you turn, please, to Chapter 9 of Volume 2. War and the administration of public affairs are the principal subjects of history. Thank you, Warburton. Who will continue, if you please, Mr. Lancaster?
But the number of persons interested in these busy scenes is very different, according to the different condition of mankind.
Now, what Mr. Gibbon is saying here, or is about to say, and Mr. Gibbon would hope for fewer lightnings from the gods when saying so, is that people who are calm and occupied in peaceful countries never make war. Continue, please, Mr. Lancaster.
But a state of freedom and barbarism, the season of civil commotions, raises almost every member of the community into action, and consequently into notice.
Gentlemen, take cover under your desks, please.
Now, gentlemen, this next passage I count important enough to have you repeat after me. The irregular divisions and restless motions of the people of Germany dazzle our imaginations and seem to multiply their numbers. The profuse enumeration of kings.
Hier sind Sie in Sicherheit. Danke.
The German boy sent me a charming letter when the war was over. I recall thinking at the time that he was himself a sixth former somewhere. They lost their young men too.
We all lost someone.
Is it true that you gave him walnut cake with pink icing?
My late wife, Catherine, believed it improved people. I think she was right.
Wonderful to have the photography club.
Do you remember Steffel? I'm certain that he would have been here for today's celebrations. A beautiful singing voice. I think that's why old Weatherby was so fond of him.
Chips, how are you feeling today?
I'm hale again, thank you.
I do feel, sir, that you ought not to overdo it today.
Poppycock. Let us celebrate our history.
Sexton.
Sir, I don't believe you've met my wife. Darling, this is... Well, you know who this is.
Oh, I've heard so much about you.
Thank you.
Hello, Chips. Sir, it's Calendar, sir. How are you these days?
Oh, Calendar is single-handedly responsible for the end of fagging. Oh, my dear Collie. I'm so very pleased to see you.
So good to see you, sir.
Why don't you have a seat, sir?
Yes. I think I will, thank you. Thank you.
And now, Mr. Chipping, Chips, the very first copy of the new history of Brookfield School, with all our best wishes.
Sir, I hope you remember me. I'm Rushton.
Of course I do. Rushton. How very nice to see you. How are you?
I'm awfully well, sir. I'd love you to meet my daughter. She knows all about you and Mrs. Chipping. I've taken the liberty of calling her Kathy.
Oh, Kathy.
See, Chips? Everyone loves you.
My father attended his wife.
They were very happy, by all accounts. So sad they never had any children.
Oh. But I do have children. Hundreds of them. All boys. Annesley. Vales. Wagstaff. Watling. Warburton. Waveney. Yates. Yelland. Young. Come along. In before the bell. Oh, Kathy.
Thank you.